About 2 years ago now, I did a review of the manga companion for The Rising of the Shield Hero, and I said in that review that Shield Hero, when it aired in anime form, would be one of the most talked about anime that season. Well, I was right. And now that Shield Hero's anime has ended, let's do a review for the anime from a manga reader's perspective and as a huge fan of the series. Accused of being a rapist and thief, Naofumi Iwatani, after being summoned into another world as the Shield Hero and one of the 4 cardinal heroes meant to fend off waves of monsters from another world, is outcasted from the kingdom. But Naofumi was set up by Mind to use the Shield Hero as a way to get his money and to snuggle up to the Spear Hero Motoyasu. Now Naofumi Iwatani must travel alone and survive to make it to the next wave. But he won't do it alone because, as a shield hero, he is not able to use weapons besides his own shield. So he was forced to buy a slave, a little demi-human girl named Raphtalia, and along his journey he will have to face many trials and tribulations. This is the Rising of the Shield Hero. The Rising of the Shield Hero is based on the light novel of the same name by Usagi Aneko and Seira Minami. The anime is produced by Kinema Citrus and directed by Takao Abe, who is most notable for working on Escaflowne, Black Lagoon, and Made in Abyss, with this anime being one of his only directing roles currently. The anime is available subbed and dubbed on both Crunchyroll and Funimation now, and is 25 episodes in length. And boy, believe me, this anime is probably going to get a season 2, so expect that announcement sometime soon. So the Shield Hero's first season is basically Naofumi's redemption arc and takes up 21 episodes to fully tell. In this season, the show primarily focuses only on him, rarely giving other characters the spotlight, and if they do, like say Philo and Raphtalia, they go all in to tell their stories. But not completely, as the anime at this point will likely get a second season, and this approach is unlike any other isekai I've ever seen. The story here goes into excruciating detail at times to give you, the viewer, the best experience possible. Naofumi Iwatani's story is one that is highly satisfying because he is such a different kind of character, one that we've never really seen before in any isekai. His story is so good because we can relate to Naofumi, and because of that we can get behind the plot of this show rather easily. And I think the reason Shield Hero is not like the other isekai is because of a couple things really, and they're things that largely isekai kind of don't do. Shield Hero, for one, doesn't force Naofumi into a tropey MC. We can see this by the way Naofumi is never forced into a romance with any of the girls. Any other 2-bit author would have had these girls frothing at the mouth for him, but Shield Hero just straight up avoids romance with Naofumi. Now that being said, the closest thing we get to it in this season is Raphtalia having a crush on Naofumi, but even then Raphtalia's crush is never explored more than just a crush. Raphtalia isn't defined by that either. She isn't just a girl that falls in love with Naofumi. She is defined by her other traits, her story, which this show will go into further to develop her character. And it is saying a lot on the isekai genre that these days, that bringing up examples of an isekai doing bad is how we grade good isekai. It's frustrating as there is a lot to the isekai genre that is just never explored, ever. Except Shield Hero does make an effort to go into those details from time to time. Something even other isekai that are well received like ReZero don't even do. For one, they address the big elephant in the room. What about Naofumi's original life on Earth? Well, I'm not going to get your hopes up and say this is explored deeply, because it's not, but it's actually explored on a somewhat small level, a character level. But in isekai, this is something that rarely ever happens anyways. Usually your MC is a blank slate in his past life. Naofumi kinda is to some degree, but Naofumi still, his character, his ultimate goal is to go home. He doesn't want to be in this fantasy world. He doesn't want it. This is something I am glad they explored, as usually MCs are just like, hey, yeah, let's stay here. Overall, Shield Hero may be defined by what it doesn't do in comparison to the other trash fire isekai, but Shield Hero's story easily comes out as top 3 best isekai of all time already in this regard. Shield Hero probably has some of the more memorable characters in isekai at this point in the genre's modern history, and not for all the wrong reasons like Kirito or Asuna. Instead, we have characters like Naofumi who, while being a little bit of a blank slate prior like all other isekai main characters, is developed really well and differently. I would say Naofumi's character development is something that everyone can really get behind and understand. His story is one that in this day and age so many people can draw from. An example one can even look within this own industry itself and take as an example. But other than that, Naofumi is so good because he isn't an isekai protag. His character is a subversion of the regular everyday isekai trope that even ReZero's main character Natsuki Subaru falls into. Naofumi though seems to avoid most of those tropes almost altogether, with the only one worth arguing is his party all being female children. And I say arguably because even then these girls aren't a reward for him. It comes off more as the creator just kind of wanting to have a young female cast. I mean, the creator is a female after all, with Naofumi being the only male and adult in the group. Not once does Naofumi look at them as anything more as party members, as his friends, which is an intentional development for his character and is even shown multiple times in the show. So yeah, Naofumi is kind of unlike any other isekai main character, dare I say, ever? And second best thing about these characters is the supporting cast. Melty, Raphtalia, and Philo. While these three girls are children, they're surprisingly well developed and make a tangible difference in the show, both in the story and to Naofumi's character development. They are so important that without any of them, the show would be very bad. Very, very bad. The show just doesn't mean much without them, and that's saying a lot. Raphtalia, as an example, has her own struggles, and their relationship initially is very bleak, but as the show goes on, Raphtalia is an important piece to Naofumi learning to trust anyone else ever again. Melty and Philo are the same, but add their own twist into it, with Melty's only issue for me is her having a crush on Naofumi. And even then, it's really not that I hate that she has one of those in general, it's just the way that they presented it initially made me worry that it would go in a bad direction. Thankfully, they didn't even touch it afterwards. But the bread and butter of this show is by far mine Melromarc, the bitch herself. She is easily one of the most compelling and easy to genuinely actually hate villains in God knows how long. She is written perfectly, and without a doubt the most entertaining character in the show. She accuses Naofumi of rape, and then goes on to make his life a living hell for most of the season. And once she receives her comeuppance, well, it is a beautiful thing, and one of the most satisfying ends to a season in an isekai I've seen. The art in Shield Hero is a faithful recreation of the manga and light novel art designs, taking the best of both worlds. Character designs are punctual and absolutely beautiful. Naofumi has that same archetypical design initially, but when he becomes the Shield Hero, his design shifts into a more nomadic kind of look. Raphtalia's design is pretty much perfect for her. Initially, she's a child, but as she levels up, she grows into a young woman within the span of weeks. Something that is a very fascinating world-building touch. In her child form, she seems very ruggish. Looking a little bit more like a raccoon she shares her design with, and once she matures into an adult body, she becomes way more refined, with her hair being less ruggish, though still overflowing a little too much, and has a vague unkeptness that is needed to complete her overall look. Philo's design is also comedic gold, and beautiful all in the same. Her big, fat bird form is legit hilarious in certain scenes. Something about seeing a giant chocobo with a big, goofy face is hilarious when you put him next to Raphtalia and Naofumi. And her human form is beautiful with her nice dress and flowing golden hair. She looks like an angel, which perfectly fits her character, and she's the most innocent out of them all. Melty's is solid as well, though not as pronounced as the main three. She's basically a bunch of blue and purple. Mine is basically the lesser form of Morelia. You know, she's like going to one of those egg machines and paying $0.25 to get Morelia, but instead, you get mine, who isn't as cool, and you end up burning her because you're 12 and you have too much free time. Morelia, though, she's great. Morelia is just the best. The absolute best. Get me some more Morelia, please. And that's it for the characters I liked. As for the backgrounds and general design, it's basically how I imagined them being in my head when I was reading the manga. Kinema Citrus did a really good job bringing the world of Shield Hero to life, much like they did with Made in Abyss. They're very good at these kinds of things. Shield Hero's animation, on the other hand, is very good when it's good, maybe not on the level of past Kinema Citrus anime though, but certainly some solid animation. Some scenes are animated beautifully, like when Raphtalia attacks the horrid CGI abomination dinosaur thing, which let's just talk about that now. The worst episodes in this show in every aspect is easily the middle of the series involving the CGI dinosaurs or Feetoria. Now this show uses a lot of CGI and it's solid, but this was something more sinister. There was also another spot in this anime with the use of a CGI Iron Maiden, which is not only literally sinister, but is also just sinisterly bad, and looking at it, it was like putting your eyes in that very CGI Iron Maiden. Other than that, the show has some pretty solid animation. Kevin Pinkin does the score for Shield Hero, and just as you'd expect, he does a good job. Ever since Made in Abyss, the man has made a name for himself with his scores. It's no different here, he delivers an excellent outing. And while I believe this doesn't ever hit in the same way Made in Abyss does, it doesn't really need to. The show is a different genre entirely anyways, so to expect the same would be naive of me. But in this anime, expect some good stuff here, with music that adds to the action, drama, comedy, and whatever else the show will throw at you. In my opinion, the score shines its brightest from episodes 22 to 25. Those episodes are really good in range. The dub for Shield Hero is quite solid, featuring talent like Erica Mendez voicing Raphtalia, which is a great casting choice. But do beware, some of the dub feels a little rushed, as most of the anime's dub was same-day release until the 15th or so episode mark. So you will notice some things aren't as solid as they should be, but I would expect some of these lines to be fixed on an updated release. They're minor things, but overall, I think watching it in either sub or dub isn't a bad choice. They're both good options. In closing, Shield Hero is a tremendous effort from a studio that at times seems to be coming off at the hinges within its management. And not only is it an effort there from the hardworking men and women, but you can tell that the original source material is made by people who see something in the isekai genre as a whole. People who want the genre to be more than a son romancing his mother, or a fantasy harem of women with the personalities of bricks. Shield Hero stands with ReZero, Escaflowne, and Inuyasha as the pinnacle of the isekai genre. Yes, the anime is defined by what it doesn't do. Yes, it's got problems with some arcs and animation, but even with those issues, I feel confident in saying Shield Hero is a 100% recommendation for anyone and everyone watching this video currently. With that being said, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe and ring the bell if you're new here. Also, click on some of these videos if you find them interesting, and just know you can support me on Patreon as well with just $1, which gets you access to literally everything on my Patreon page. Go check that out, and thanks everybody for watching the review. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.